When neonatal nurse Jeannie Joseph started her career as a nurse, she surely didn't think she'd see the safe haven law come into action right before her eyes.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
The same can also be said about the Swedish American Hospital in Rockford, United States, where she worked at the time, until in April 2004 when a teenager walked almost 8 miles to drop off a baby in a shoebox under the state's safe haven law. Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now back to the story. Cherish Coates was only 15 years old in high school and living with her grandparents when she got pregnant. She was terrified and disappointed in herself, as her family had always looked up to her to be the first to finish high school and then go to college. She had even been warned about getting pregnant, especially with her mom experiencing the same situation. Facing her new reality, she managed to do her best to conceal the small bump that surfaced in her belly, even though it was barely noticeable. Living with the reality of becoming a mother can be a real struggle for most, especially for her age. But Cherish wasn't like most, and she did continue to keep her grades up and also work diligently at her part-time job at McDonald's, even though she had to deal with morning sickness, pains, and everything that naturally comes with being pregnant, especially at a young age. Things appear to continue to go on without any complications until the snowy afternoon of April 24, 2004, when Cherish first started feeling severe stomach cramps that would end up with her going home to lock herself up in her room, wriggling in pain. And just like that, she delivered the baby in her bed with no assistance and even had to cut his umbilical cord with her grandfather's scissors. I remember just looking at how beautiful he was and how tiny he was. I had never held a baby before. I had never babysat or anything. I remember being scared that I was going to break him, Cherish told the Chicago Tribune.
I was 19, I ended up starting school to go for the nursing program, and it was because of Jeannie. I was motivated just watching her and the great care that she gave my son.
Next, she calls her boyfriend, the baby's father, and together they decided that the baby be dropped off at a hospital where the baby can get proper care under the state's safe haven law, which allows newborns to be dropped off at a designated location, usually a hospital, police station, or power station, and shielding the parent from criminal liability and prosecution for child endangerment, abandonment, or neglect. Wrapped in a dish towel and wearing a baby doll's onesie, the baby is tucked into an old boot box with an emotional note placed inside with the words, "We love you. We are just not able to raise you. We want his name to be Alan Corey, and we will hope to be able to see you again. God will be watching over you." Later that day, Jeannie Joseph, one of the nurses on duty at the Swedish American Hospital, receives a call from the emergency department that the hospital would be sending their first safe haven baby to the nursery. Not only was it a first for the hospital, but Jeannie had also never seen the law come into action. She spots a teenager wearing a hoodie sweatshirt coming towards the nursery looking terrified and holding a shoebox. He then hands over the shoebox, and when she opens it, she sees the baby. "We were sad, of course, but we had to work very fast with this baby," Jeannie told the Chicago Tribune.
Started crying and we just kind of connected. I don't know, it was just, we kind of connected.
I remember her just being so inviting and so welcoming and reassuring. She didn't ever talk to me like I was just some stupid teenager. She had the most respect. And
because of the unusual circumstances surrounding the birth, the medical team had to work fast to keep the baby stable. One surprising thing that shocked all the medical staff, including the doctor who treated the baby, was the fact that the baby could breathe on his own despite being a premature baby, and even after all it had to go through before getting to the hospital. It sounded like a miracle, and even the doctor believed that someone was looking down on him. All through the time when the baby would be taken into care, Jeannie notices that the young man who brought the baby never left, and he was crying the whole time, which was roughly 3 hours. She then approaches the young man and tells him she would not be able to give him further information about the baby if he decided to relinquish the baby under the law, but she would give him parental bracelets should he be interested, if he and the mother still wanted to think about it. The boy took the option, and the next day he came back, but this time with Cherish, who just wanted to see the baby. That morning, Nurse Jeannie noticed a young girl walking with her head down in the nursery, and when they would eventually meet, the girl would turn out to be Cherish, the mother of the baby.
She looked like such a scared little girl, and she came in and sat down at the bedside, and you could tell that she just was sad and embarrassed and scared, and I just immediately went over to her like I do to all the parents when they come into the unit.
By this time, the baby had already been stable and in an incubator in the nursery's intensive care unit. Cherish wanted to see baby Alan, and Nurse Joseph led her to the incubator, while also comforting her with words, a move that would get the two connected. I put my hand on her shoulder and said, "I'm taking care of this cute little guy," I said. "You know that you've saved his life, right? I don't want you to hang your head. You gave him the best chance you could," Jeannie recalled to the Tribune. All of a sudden, she went from looking down to up at me, and we just connected. For Cherish, those words meant the world to her and gave her the much-needed comforting she needed. She was so happy with the way the nurse spoke to her and became even encouraged to tell her family. She was not judgmental at all, just very nurturing and motherly. She encouraged me to tell my grandparents, but she didn't talk to me like I was just some stupid teenager. She talked to me like I was a person, Cherish said. After that, Cherish kept coming back to bring the baby breast milk, and the more she kept seeing the baby, the more she felt connected and ultimately decided to keep him and stop any adoption proceeds, as well as tell her family, who still had no idea of baby Alan's birth or even the delivery in her room, about the situation, with her mom being the first she'd bring to the hospital to see baby Alan. Cherish's mother, who had also been in the same situation when she gave birth to Cherish at the same age, looked really shocked, and that made Cherish too scared to speak. With Jeannie having to come to her aid and explaining to her mother the circumstances of the baby's birth and all that happened even after. To their surprise, Cherish's mother reacted quite nicely and even wanted to hold the boy immediately. There was no hesitation, there was no anger, there was no anything. She hugged Cherish and she loved the baby, Jeannie told the Tribune. Her grandparents would also get to see the baby later on, and neither of them expressed any form of anger or disappointment, as they all seemed to love the baby and could only even wonder how she managed to keep them from knowing about the pregnancy, though they would have appreciated her telling them much earlier. The baby was discharged after almost a month in the hospital, and Jeannie still had kind words for Cherish as she left the hospital, telling her to promise to stay in school after the two hugged each other. Cherish would follow the advice of Jeannie and go on to finish high school and then college, and later become a certified nursing assistant, something she felt inspired to do because of Jeannie. Years later, she was also working to get a law degree to be a mental health attorney. Her son, Alan, would also go on to be a wonder baby, though he did have to deal with having speech impediment early on as a child. His father, on the other hand, is no longer in contact with his mother after they separated when Alan was only 4 years old. He would also learn about the situation of his birth from his mother and other family members and even make jokes about it. I told him I was going to return him back to the hospital one day because he was acting up, and he told me, "You can't return me back to the hospital. I will have to return back to my great-grandparents' house," Cherish told the Tribune. In 2017, 13 years after Alan's birth, Cherish reached out to Jeannie on Facebook after they had lost contact for years, and the nurse was very happy and proud that Cherish finished school and that she was even inspired by her to be a nursing assistant. I just wanted to let her know how much of an impression she made. It feels like such a blessing. We will always be connected because we share this unique story, Cherish said. The two later met in an emotional reunion on The Doctors, where both of them hugged and spoke highly of each other, saying they never forgot each other.
Between them, because you're the bridge that brought them together. Make yourself at home, Jeannie.
Alan was also on the show, and Jeannie was so happy to see him all grown as a teenager. The show's host, Dr. Andrew Ordon, also had kind words for Jeannie and praised her for what she did. "You're one of those saints, one of those healthcare providers that goes beyond. It's not work, it's passion, it's love," Dr. Andrew said. Since then, they have been in regular contact and continue to share a bond. Jeannie still works at the Swedish American Hospital as a full-time nurse at the nursery, while Cherish lives in Arizona now with Alan, along with 2 other kids, as she continues to work as a law clerk with the aim of one day becoming a mental health attorney and even using her story to inspire others. If you enjoyed this video, kindly give it a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comments section, and share with others. Thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one.